It's funny because most folks out there think because I have professional chef experience that I know about or have tried every single dish on earth. And that's just simply not the case. And the dish that I've heard of but have never tried is called chicken paprikash. It's a Hungarian dish with braised chicken, vegetables, a little bit of paprika, sour cream, and you know I've done the research on it. And I think there are a few techniques we can do to help elevate this to the next level. Let's get into it. Sound good? Let's cook. The prep is definitely minimal for chicken paprikash, but one of the ingredients we really can't get here is the Hungarian wax pepper. It's actually shaped more like a kubanel, except for it's yellow and red, but it's sweet. So in place of that, we're gonna use a sweet yellow bell pepper. All we wanna do is seed it and small dice it. So once I've cut off all the sides, again, just gonna give it a really quick small dice, set it to the side, and then I got a pretty large yellow onion. I think I'm only gonna use half of it. I don't need all that onion flavor in there, so I'm just going to small dice this as well. Then I have 2 garlic cloves. Give it a quick smash, a quick fine mince. I know, no garlic press, do you believe it? Set it to the side, and then I only think I'm going to need 2 Roma tomatoes. Going to take the core out of there and then just really roughly chop it. Romas are great tomato to use all year long, not just in the summertime. And the last thing we really need to prep up is the chicken. Now, you know my school of thought here. I love breaking down whole chickens. I think it's the most cost-effective thing you can do. Plus, you get a chicken carcass, which you can use for stock at a later date. Just pop it in the freezer. Now, if you just want to use split chicken breast, thighs, or drums, fine, just go buy that. But I'm telling you, you get so much meat and so much variety in a whole chicken. It's easy to do. Check out my roast con pollo video, which I break it down in depth with ease. I promise you can do this. What we're gonna do real quick is season it on both sides with salt and fresh cracked black pepper. In addition to giving you this little bonus on using a whole chicken, when you look at the classic recipe, they really just kind of like boil and braise the chicken by putting it in liquid. Now, I think if we pan sear it first and get a nice golden brown on that skin, it's gonna elevate that flavor and make it that much better. So that's exactly what we're gonna do here. Gonna take the chicken over to my cooktop. I've got a large rondeau pot here. This is gonna be perfect. I've also got some rendered bacon fat. I think 3 tablespoons should be enough to add in here. I'm gonna crank the heat on to medium high. And then again, just like searing everything, once my fat is smoking, I know it's time to start searing. So I'm gonna add in the chicken. I wanna make sure that I don't crowd the pan so I can get a nice sear on them. And Comies, this is why we never ever throw away rendered bacon fat. Not only do I always put it in pie crust, but I also cook with it. It's absolutely delicious, and you will need it for this recipe. And if you render the bacon fat, it's free. You're welcome. So it's been about 3 to 4 minutes. I'm gonna check out my chicken, give it a quick flip. Looks fantastic. That brown on there, I'm telling you, it is going to go a very long way, I think, in elevating the flavor of this recipe. So after another 3-4 minutes after I flip it, I'm just going to set it to the side on a plate. Now, the pan had too much chicken in there, so I cooked the wings separately just to get them a quick brown. I don't want to steam them. I want to sear them. I'm going to add it right to that plate, turn the heat down to low, and I'm going to bring the onions into that pot. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I believe caramelizing onions can absolutely enhance the flavor of anything. So I'm going to take about 20 to 25 minutes, get a very nice brown on them. This looks perfect. I think this is good at this point. I'm going to add in my yellow bell peppers, turn the heat up to medium. I think I just want to saute these for 3 to 4 minutes. I don't want to brown on them or anything. This looks really, really good here. So I think at this stage, I'm going to add in my garlic. And I'm telling you, I think doing all this stuff in stages is going to really make a big difference here. So once I can smell the garlic, I know it's done. I'm going to add in my tomatoes. And I just want to stew these. I want these to break down a little bit and add some of the juices into everything else. Maybe 4 to 5 minutes here will be good. Then I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of Hungarian paprika. This should be enough, I hope. Just going to mix it in until it's combined. I can see the color is already starting to change. So in Hungary, they definitely use more of a sweet style paprika. Honestly, I think regular paprika would be fine as long as it's not smoked. Now, the other thing in this recipe that I see is most folks pour water in there as the braising liquid. Honestly, like, you know who I am. Why not use chicken stock? It's going to be that much better. So we're going to add that in there. I've always got chicken stock lying around, pulled some out of the freezer, thawed it out, good to go. I also think seasoning this braising liquid, because that's what the chicken is going to be cooked in, is really important.
So I'm also going to take the time to give it a quick taste. Does it need more salt and pepper? Does it need more paprika? I'm good to go here with those 3 tablespoons. Fantastic. Now I'm just going to add the chicken right back in to the braising liquid. Now we've got a little bit of time here because we want the chicken to tenderize and fully cook. So I'm going to place on the lid, turn it to low medium, and wait for it to finish cooking. All right, as you can see, my chicken paprikash is braising. We've got about 45 minutes to an hour or so. And one thing I noticed when doing the research for this recipe is there was a very common side dish known as nokedli, or which are like little dumplings and very similar to spetzels. So I think we can quickly pull this off while this is cooking, and then it all comes up at the same time. Wish me luck. Let's see if we can do it. This should be a really easy recipe. I've got 3 large eggs. I'm going to pour in 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of cold water. Going to whisk it just until mixed like scrambled eggs. I'm going to season up. I think a half teaspoon of salt should be plenty here. And then I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to add them in 3 different batches. I just want to make sure it gets fully incorporated, but also want to make sure I get the consistency right here. I'm thinking spetzel here constantly. That's what it seems to be. And yeah, whisk ain't working anymore, so I'm switching over to a spoon. Don't worry, I'll go back and get all that goodness off that whisk. Yeah, much better to be able to fold all these ingredients in. And let's go grab that whisk. Let's get all that goodness out of there. Hey, that's just more nokedli. And the dough should be sticky, yet still hold shape, just like dumplings and spetzels. So I think I'm good here. I'm going to let it rest for a little bit. And in the meantime, I'm going to get a large pot of water on because we need to bring that to a boil to cook these in.
All right, so my water is finally boiling. The nokedli's been resting for far more than 10 minutes. I think the chicken probably has 15 minutes left in the cooking process, so we need to get rolling on this. Now, since it's like spetzel, you can just use a spetzel maker if you want. I did see an old school way of a cutting board and a spoon being used, and you know me, I try to keep things authentic. Let's try that version out.
Let's see how this goes. I'm going to transfer the nokedli dough right over to a small cutting board, spread it out. Going over to my large pot of boiling water, I'm going to add some salt. I always know that it needs to be as salty as the ocean so it can season up everything in here. Okay, so this is the technique I saw. Sort of thin it out a little bit and then take your spoon and just cut off little chunks while constantly dipping the spoon in the water. This will make sure that the nokedli doesn't stick. And yeah, this is going great, but this is taking too long. I don't have this kind of time, so I'm switching over to my spetzel maker. Yeah, that's right. Way faster, and I get the same thing. So once these float to the top, I'm pretty sure they're done. I'm going to give it a quick drain, and I'm going to add it to a large saute pan. I have a half stick of unsalted butter that's been melted. I'm just going to toss this around a little bit. I'm going to adjust the seasonings with salt and pepper, see if it needs a little bit more, a little bit less. We're all good here. Then I'm going to set it to the side. These should be fine to keep warm for at least 10 minutes, so we're going to do that. Now, let's go check out our chicken paprikash. It smells so good. Now, I know it needs to be thickened, and the way to do that is through this little sour cream mixture. So I've got a cup of whole milk sour cream. I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. This is going to be our thickening agent. I'm going to whisk it until it is combined. Now, I also noticed in a lot of the recipes, they add like 4 to 6 ounces or about a half cup to 3/4 cup of that liquid in there. I'm guessing this sort of helps to break it up and helps to include it very easily into the mixture. So now set it to the side real quick. Let's go fishing. I'm going to take all the chicken out of there and just set it to the side on a plate. Now, going back over to that pan, I'm going to add in our sour cream thickening agent. I'm going to give it a whisk until it is combined and bring it to a boil. I'm thinking roux here. It's going to sort of take a boil to activate it, and it does. It's really thick. It's really creamy. This looks fantastic, almost as thick as Alfredo sauce. Now, at this time, I'm going to add all the juices and all the cooked chicken right back to there and let it just maybe cook for 3 to 4 minutes to warm up.
Definitely started to feel the proverbial heat in the kitchen as everything was coming together. Want to make sure everything was done on time. It smells incredible in here. Honestly, I'm super excited to dig into this. Now, I know there is a garnish that goes on top. It's just a little bit of sour cream. I'm going to thin it out with a little bit of milk so that it's easy to drizzle on there. But I can't help but think, you know, I say it all the time, but it's so true in this recipe. That's why it's always about these fundamental cooking techniques. Knowing that searing the chicken is going to bring more flavor, using chicken stock, using a whole chicken, all of these things. I'm telling you, when you put them into practice over and over again, it will absolutely elevate your everyday cooking. I don't want to wait any longer. Let's plate this up.
I'm going to add several spoonfuls of the nokedli, and I'm going to put on one side of the plate. I'm going to lean the chicken on it a little bit. I'm going to go with breast meat and thigh meat out of the gate because, well, I'm eating it. And then I'm going to go get a big spoonful of that creamy, delicious sauce that it was braised in and pour it over the top. Then remember that little sour cream mixture that I thinned out? I'm going to add that to the top as well, a little bit more fat and flavor. And then I've learned that chives are very common to use in Hungary, so I'm going to garnish with that with a nice little touch of green.
Coming together in under 90 minutes, not bad. I'm dying here. I've got to try this. Oh my gosh. Oh, the paprika and that sour cream. If this is what it's supposed to taste like, hallelujah. I mean, this is so good. You're going to love, I'm not even kidding. I like speechless. You're going to love this. My wife is going to love this. I seriously can't wait to bring this home. So this is good. And I think if you love this, you are going to love my Hungarian goulash recipe. It's amazing. I've got an awesome video. I'll see you on there.